Hello everyone. I just want to share this milestone in my knitting because it's a really big deal. I knit a hat. I have another hat. I know it looks really simple. It is really simple, but this is a big deal because this is the pattern that I started knitting with in October 2022. That was last year, correct? I don't even know what year it is, to be honest. Anyways, I got sick with COVID, and I am really good at relaxing as long as I can be productive. I can't just veg out and sit in front of the TV. I need to be doing something, whether it's journaling or reading or drawing or knitting. And so when I was stuck at home in bed, I thought, knitting sounds so nice and comforting and cozy and just what I want to do while I'm stuck here quarantining and totally feverish. Now, I learned to knit from my Oma, my grandma, when I was a little girl, and then I didn't do anything with it. For whatever reason, last year was the year where I was like, I'm going to see it through. I'm going to work really hard at making clothes for myself and learning how to knit and actually completing projects and making things that I'm proud of. And it's been a really long journey. It's a huge learning curve. I am finally just starting to arrive at a point in which I feel pretty confident that I can understand patterns pretty well. It's a new language, basically. So I'm starting to understand the language. I also have been recently knitting things that I actually enjoy, which is just a really big deal. So I made this pattern. This is the pattern, the classic ribbed hat from Pearl Soho. That's what I started with. I wanted to make something for Brian, and this is the hat that I knit him. So it's just, he wears this, believe it or not. I hope he doesn't feel like he has to. I would be totally fine if he never wore this again and stashed it in a drawer or gave it to Goodwill or something. I don't know. It's full of holes. So first of all, I was very feverish when I started this. I kept messing up and having to start over again and over again. I completely had forgotten to learn how to knit. And I kept getting off track with my ribbing. So it's just like, often it will like shift and then go back on track. And I also was twisting my stitch. Maybe it's not that obvious, but all of my stitches are a little bit skewed, and really they should be horizontal. I didn't know I was doing that when I was making this hat. I had no idea. I couldn't interpret at all how to make the crown, and so I just was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna like improvise and make up my own thing, so it's all funky there at the top. I decided to do this pattern again. I made a hat for my stepdad, which was definitely much improved. I was a little more consistent with my ribbing, and there were less holes, maybe no holes. I don't remember. I still didn't understand how to do the crown, and my knitting was still twisted. And I didn't know this at all. I saw that everything was like kind of going at an angle, but I just thought that was the way of knitting in the round because you're spiraling up constantly. Until somebody pointed it out actually in YouTube, they said, I think you're twisting your knit. And I looked it up and realized, oh my gosh, that's what I'm doing. So I went and did the hat for a third time for myself. I decided to make a hat for myself and relearn how to knit properly. And so I did, and I made this hat. And so everything is really nice and vertical. I actually was very consistent with my ribbing, and there aren't any holes. Oh no, there's a hole. There are holes, never mind. There are holes. But overall, I was pretty happy with the way things were looking. I still didn't understand how to do the crown, although it is a little bit clearer, but still not quite right. Now the problem with this one is it's super, super stretchy because I was relearning basically the approach to knitting and purling, my tension was just really, really loose. And so this hat is super, super stretchy or stretched out, and doesn't really fit that well. And I was so disappointed. All of these hats, by the way, this took me over 3 weeks to make. The one for my stepdad took me about 3 weeks. This one took me about 3 weeks really to make. So it was a lot of work for me. I was really slow. I also didn't have the stamina. I would do one round and then feel so tired and need a break, and I'd have to go and do something else. And then I would go back and do another round, and so on and so forth. Flash forward to many, many other knitting projects now at this point, including socks, which was a really big deal for me. I knit this pattern again, and this is actually how the crown is supposed to look. I understood everything that I was supposed to be doing, and it felt so good. Furthermore, my knits, the tension is on point. At least I feel like it fits really well, and it doesn't feel too floppy or loose. And my ribbing is all really even, and it looks like the example picture on Purl Soho, and that makes me so happy. I'm like, I finally did it. I finally understood what I'm supposed to do. This only took me 4 days. Granted, it was a 4-day weekend. We went camping, we went up to the mountains. Brian drove to and from, which is like a 5-hour drive, and so I just knit in the passenger seat. So I was able to get a lot done, but my stamina, I have so much more stamina. I don't need to take a break every round. I can do many, many rounds in one sitting. And I'm also a faster knitter, and I can also not have to look at what I'm doing all the time. I can look around and enjoy other things. And so this is like proof of all of my hard work that has wow, it's working. I'm so excited, because I don't know, sometimes when you're learning something new for a long time, it doesn't feel like any progress is being made, and it gets kind of discouraging. But so going back to this simple hat, really, I was like, yeah, I've come a long way. So I just wanted to share that little journey. And I hope that if you're working on something and learning something new, that you can find a way to just stick with it and see it through, because chances are you're going to reach a point in which you're like, yes, I'm learning something. Progress has been made. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.